More about that now with Behnam Taleblu, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defense and Democracies. Thank you very much for joining us, Behnam. How do you see this action by the EU? Are you disappointed?
Well, pleasure to be with you. Important to note that today's action is not just an EU action. There was concurrent UK sanctions against several individuals and one entity in Iran, as well as US sanctions, meaning sanctions by the Treasury Department against one entity and several individuals. Some of those individuals were IRGC officials, officers in charge of several regional commands cracking down on protesters, still 4 months now going. And as you know, the other half were some managers of that IRGC conglomerate or cooperative organization, which is the major economic arm of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So looks like everyone is still beating around the bush, particularly across the pond. The good thing is that this was a coordinated move, so the transatlantic community is beginning to see the nature, the breadth and depth of the Iran threat the same way. The problem is it too little, too late? And are these delaying tactics by our friends across the pond, be they in London or in Brussels, and about pulling punches and being too afraid to go all the way to call a spade, a terrorist, because they still remain wedded to that nuclear deal.
Still? You think it's still connected to the nuclear deal somehow?
I still think there is a great amount of linkage between the EU's overall Iran policy and their desire to resurrect or resuscitate the nuclear deal, and of course the cues they're getting from Washington. Let's not forget, while it's a good thing that the Biden administration retained the IRGC on the terrorist list, given the outstanding evidentiary basis for it, and it's a good thing that the Biden administration did not budge in August 2022 when the Iranians tried to use this as a political lever wedge to bring back that deal. The administration doesn't seem to be pushing its partners across the pond to actually call a spade, to call a terrorist, and to designate the IRGC as a terrorist organization. And the one outstanding reason seems to be that it wants the EU to do the heavy lifting for any kind of prospective, Iran deal resurrection, while some folks in the administration here talk about the door being closed to that deal or the deal not being their priority.
Now, the whole point of sanctions is to get an impact. The Iranians are looking at this. Will these sanctions have any effect on the Iranians?
It depends a great deal on how you measure them. One I would point you to for a macroeconomic impact would be the UK's designation of the Besieged Cooperative Foundation and the US designation of the IRGC Cooperative Foundation. But in terms of a political impact, at a very minimum, this would signal, be it from Washington, London, or Brussels, that these Western countries are still looking to somehow hold the regime accountable for rights violations. The question is that, again, too little, too late? The real place where you can have a major macroeconomic impact would be, again, enforcement of oil sanctions. The regime continued throughout all of 2022 to illicitly export oil, and that means more revenues in the hands of the world's foremost state sponsor of terrorism for domestic repression and foreign aggression, be it in the region or vis-a-vis Russia and Ukraine, given the provision of drones.
Behnam, thank you very much.